listening to Business Talk with Jim Campbell. We've got joined now by Greg Wolfe. He's co-founder and CEO of thewolfline.com. He's a former equity options propriety desk trader, quantitative market technician, one of the first registered market makers on the ISE, International Securities Exchange, which was the first fully electronic options exchange in the U.S., and he's decided to create technology products and platforms basically bringing quant trading analytics to sports speculation. Very interesting and also very open field, I'd say. We just had a guy on, by the way. Welcome, Greg. Thanks for joining us. We just had a guy on who was a proprietary trader. He started at Daytech. Is that the kind of stuff you used to do?
Yeah, I landed on prop desk, an options trading desk, in 1999. I was living in California at the time, and a friend of mine that I grew up since I was just a little kid, we were always speculating on ball games and going to the local racetrack, and he was on the Amex at the time, and he called me up and he said, "You got to come back and do this thing called options trading." He said, it's for guys like us, and it's using numbers to speculate, and I had no idea what he was talking about, but he said, he was at the time he was trading Amgen, I believe, and this was 1999, when everything really was changing. And everything was going electronic, and E-Trade was showing up, and volume was just exploding, and Qualcomm went up $100 in a day, and everybody lost their mind, and then the bubble popped and all that. But I came back from California to New Jersey and got set up on a desk out of New York, and learned from there. And as soon as I got there, it's funny because I was hearing that options were in the money or out of the money, and I thought to myself, I said, "What am I at the racetrack?" It sounds like. It sounds like the vernacular I would hear there, and little did I know how close I really was to the racetrack at the time, because, I'm sure you've heard, the track is called the poor man's stock market.
Yeah, I was going to get into that a little bit later, because I play golf at Saratoga National Golf Club all the time. I'm not a horse guy, but right up the road is all the horse stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of betting. Tell us what your idea is. You're basically bringing the quant trading, the mentality, and, of course, the technology, and you see it coming in to basically revolutionizing sports speculation. What's the vision?
Well, the vision is that, in my opinion, with using sports as the underlying instrument, and that can either be traditional sports speculation or fantasy as people get into, at that point you're just kind of comparing a sector ETF to an individual basket of stocks out of that particular ETF or whatever in that analogy there. But the next 10 to 20 years, I really think that sports speculation could turn out to be the market with the most explosive growth, and there's just so much room to go up. A good example and a good analogy there would be the relationship markets, and the largest market now is foreign exchange, where you see $6 trillion a day traded back and forth. There's only 118, I believe, exchange pairs, with the seven majors doing about 85% of that volume. So when you look over at sports, globally there are over 33,000 assets that could have markets made on them, and they do, and in over 1,000 leagues. So
these are, in other words, opportunities to bet on games, teams, leagues, etc.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even use the words, bet, wager, things like that. We say, trade. We say, instead of totals or over-unders, we call it volatility trading, just like an options trader would say.
By the way, beautiful charts you guys have designed with that volatility spreads and things like that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jim. It took a long time of research and development, but the great thing about that is that you sit down at our platform and you open it up, and it's just like you're quant trading soybeans or oil or Amazon stock or anything else. It's entirely based on economic forces, supply and demand, and you have your serial correlation, your mean reversion, all these things that would be expected by somebody that one of the 60 million retail quantitative traders in this country alone. Now you're looking at a context that's pretty much, we've only scratched the surface. And
how did you put this together? I mean, who wrote the programs, and where's the data feed coming, things like that?
Yeah, we have a raw data feed that comes in. It's basically the closing prices, and then from there we process it in through the algorithms that I created, and we have a whole IT team that gets that together.
Now let's compare this. Looking at some of your material, that you still consider Vegas, for instance, very primitive, and there's fake experts, scammers, tout sheets, fraudulent computer simulations. What's the difference between the transparency you're trying to do and what the current market sort of operates?
Right, and that's a great question because it is all about transparency, and with the way that we operate, the algorithms and the analysis, it all goes off of the closing prices, because that's where the market, what we call the market agreed upon equilibrium of the price, and that's either price or volatility, which people would say handicap, point spread, / over under. Mm-hmm. But you also can go into probability conditions, which is the money line. So going again, just kind of glancing back towards the options market, a money line favorite would just be like an in the money call or an out of the money put, and a money line underdog would just be like an in the money put or an out of the money call.
That's cool.
So, and that's just, like I said, that's just the beginning of it. And the good thing about it is that sports is such a universal backdrop and such a universal instrument that you can use these same market theory and trading theory in a context that people are much more comfortable with, and it's just not so stale.
It just worked, by the way, because what you just described is very interesting to me. I have no interest in sports betting, but what you just described was fascinating. It's kind of interesting. Let me bring it to a specific level now. I find the horse business hard to understand. You have the odds, right, which are based on the bets, and then you have the probabilities, in my mind, which would be the statistical performance. How do you deal, for instance, in that market?
Well, right now we're just with sports. We have horse markets that are in beta phase right now, or products that are in beta phase right now. Mm-hmm. But the thing about horses and sports, both of them, and it's why it's technical analysis as it's viewed from a quantitative trader standpoint, is simply a quantified and graphically displayed story of behavioral economics, really, is what it is. So when you're talking about the track or, the horse track, or you're talking about sports, it's all behavioral economics, obviously, because there's no tangible asset that's represented. It's simply abstract perceptions being traded back and forth an infinite number of times.
Like derivatives. Yeah.
Well, of course, there's, derivatives. If I was to look at that in the horse racing market, I would say the exacta market would be the secondary market there, not the primary market. But it's amazing when you really delve into the depths of these markets and you really get into the option theory and you look hard enough, you'll find it's not only that there's a similar connection between the two, as far as financial markets and sports / horses. It's like 100% correlation to the most esoteric theories.
How are you banging this into the market? How are you trying to get leverage in and get people to take a look at everything?
Well, we just started to promote just now because we had a tremendous amount of R&D and all the legal issues, because we're patented all over the world.
And everything's fully legal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We even have, and it depends on, obviously, your jurisdiction. As we go forward and the legislators, try to wrap their hands around how they're going to regulate this, I think they're going to get a surprise, actually, because the regulations, there doesn't need to be any regulations written, because comporting with the Nevada law that just was passed in 2015, SB 443, basically that calls a sports speculation or a horse racing speculation, a security. Now they have these managed hedge funds in Nevada legally, where you can just, it's the same thing, 2 and 20, like an actively managed hedge fund. You have your guy that's the management, and he takes the management fee, like I said, like 2 and 20, and then the 20% off the profits. So, that's in total agreement with what we're saying. And just to insulate us even more with the legality of it is we created Wolfe Bucks, which are virtual currency that you can use that's just fictional. And, that keeps a running profit and loss as well as your volume. And it's an educational piece as well.
Interesting. Is the function you're providing a platform, sort of an independent broker? Are you kind of like comparable to the VIG? Or how would you define yourself? the role?
Basically, we're an introducing broker. We're completely brokerage agnostic, so it's 100% subjectively interpreted, objective analytics information. So we have no interest in where people get their execution from, whether they do it, like I said, fictionally with our Wolf Bucks or whether they do it somewhere else. We definitely encourage everybody to obey local laws. I think that from the United States standpoint, federally, we're definitely looking at legalization very soon. It really, the laws that prohibit sports being used as the same as a commodity or a metal or a stock or anything else, really don't make any sense. There's a tremendous amount of hypocrisy there. I honestly don't know how that PASPA law was passed in 1992 because it's just completely antithetical to Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution.
Tell us, so how are you going to make your money?
Well, there's a couple ways. One is the introducing brokerage model, to where we supply the analytics to the broker, whoever they are. And the way that works is just like we give people a reason, an analytical, quantitative reason to enter the market and engage in trading.
I got it. I see.
So, volume is everybody's friend. If you have enough volume,
it's almost like you're introducing research, like soft dollar research that they're paying for, as opposed to execution.
Exactly. There's two sides to the brokerage. There's the analytics side, and then there's the execution side. And we're the analytics side.
Got it.
We don't care if people, how they use the information or whatever. It's basically, I like to say we're just selling shovels in a gold rush.
So the brokerage, the other platforms, would pay you a fee to run your analytics feed through whatever their systems are?
Right, exactly, because that's just going to increase their user experience, improve the user experience. And like I said, when you get enough volume, then you can bring in your brokerage fees, and then that begets even more volume, and that's the brokerage model of how they profit. Or the other side is the retail part of it, where people can just pay for the membership service. It's currently running at only $30 a month. And
tell us, how do folks sign up for that?
You go to www.thewolfline.com, and you can just get started to trade for free. The first 2 months is completely on the house because we realize there's a little bit of a learning curve, and we're completely confident with people that being really the maximum amount of time. There's going to be a lot of people. The first wave of adopters are going to be people that are familiar with technical analysis in other quantitative contexts, indicators, oscillators, support, resistance, moving averages, all that kind of good stuff. So we're really not initially going after the sports talk radio people first, because they tend to be a little bit,
less sophisticated, analytical.
Well, not so ready. It's not so prepared to make a leap.
Is it an app that you download, or how do you?
Well, right now it's completely mobile as well as desktop, and the apps are in development right now. So there's going to be an iPhone app, a Droid, and a Microsoft Windows imminently. But right now it's desktop, laptop, and mobile.
And if I look at your site, you're offering those charts you're talking about. And it'll do calculations for you, send you alerts. Is that the basic thrust of it?
Absolutely, it does everything for you. And the reason why we took the calculations are really dynamically adjusting risk variables of bubble scenarios, and that those calculations are then collated into a graduated color format that can be used to just, once you customize your screeners, they can just screen through every league that we offer and find your particular customized situation where you might want to make a trade. And then it alerts you to your email inbox. So anything people are going to be expecting as far as features coming from the financial trading world right now, they're going to have them on this platform, on the Wolf Line.
And the Wolf Bucks virtual currency will just be used for simulated trading, or explain that?
Well, at the moment, it's for simulated trading. It could go, a myriad of different ways.
Okay, because that's what I was assuming. It would be, almost a great to actually use it as a currency, like a Bitcoin approach would be.
That's exactly where we're going with that, and it would be, you could use it. It depends on business relationships at that point, but a perfect example would be, your local sports bar.
Yeah.
You go in and you have, I have 300 Wolf bucks that I earned, and they're giving 10 cents on the dollar for Wolf bucks, and you go in there and now you're in the sports bar, you're engaging in and consuming the content, and you're spending more money. So again, volume is everybody's friend.
You don't intend to make money on the actual trades, the actual what would you call bets in the normal world?
Right, we're totally indifferent to that.
Interesting. How big are you trying to get? Are you trying to get investors? What's the approach?
Well, right now we've been able to get through, the very difficult startup phase, especially again with the legal fees, as extensive as we are as far as countries that we've entered to protect this technology, and we've been lucky enough to be able to just do it with the original founders. So. There are potentials for investment as we go around, but at a certain point, I certainly feel like the company will go public.
On the doing good aspect, I assume you're driven in part by trying to professionalize this and take away some of the sleaze, et cetera.
Yeah, you're talking about two of, I guess, if you throw in politics, the three sleaziest might be the financial industry, sports gaming, and I guess politics. But it's amazing how, as we know, if you're talking about sports speculation markets and their transparency versus, say, the LIBOR, for example, or the CDOs, you could go, the list is as long as my arm when you talk about the financial manipulation and corruption. So I'd much rather be in a context or in a market where we can watch what's happening, and that can be regulated. It's much less, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain than the other financial markets.
Well, I have to say it is fascinating, and you're obviously bringing a lot of brain power and knowledge and experience to this. And we've been talking with Greg Wolfe. He's the creator of the Wolfline.com, actually a quant trading analytics brought to sports speculation. And other benefits include you can teach yourself what option theory and what those kinds of basic trading terms, what they mean, how they operate, and have a lot of fun, looking at your favorite teams. It's thewolfline.com. How can people get in touch with you, Greg?
Just go to www.thewolfline.com, or if you want to contact me personally, it's thewolf@thewolfline.com.
All righty. You've been listening to Business Talk with Jim Campbell. Thanks to Greg Wolfe and the creative, innovative sports betting analytics, sports speculation, if you will. Thanks a lot for your time, Greg.
You got it, Jim. Thank you.